Well, hey there, guys. Dave here from Wolf in the Wilds. A while back, I talked about how I had a really great bug out location, and it would be my final destination in any bug out scenario. And I had some inquiries and a few requests for a video tour. So that's what we're gonna do today. Okay, a little bit of history. So my great-grandparents built this cottage in the early 50s into kind of the mid-50s. When they built this cottage, they had to barge everything across 2 lakes basically to do it, plus a river and a whole bunch of kind of rigmarole, whatever. The road that I drove to get to this point didn't exist back then. So it was a little bit more of a process, we'll say. So, first of all, they had to barge everything across this lake, and it's a long lake, it's really big. And this dam was basically here at that time. Not quite like this. It was, they ripped the old one down, put this one up a few years back. And then they had to go down that way. Now, in the early 1950s, my great-grandfather, built these in order to facilitate in sliding everything up and then down the hill all the way down to the other side there to help move everything faster and easier. None of this has been maintained. Nobody's done anything with this at all in all the years that it's been here, and it still works. Like, every one still works like a charm. There's not one that's been seized up or anything. It hasn't. That one is seized up. I lied. That one's seized up now, and this one's a little bit. But well, still. You got to admit, not bad for being put together in like 1952 or something. Not bad at all. Most of it still works like a charm. So, normally I would be taking a motorboat. And I've got video of us in the motorboat doing the trip in the river and whatnot. And the sound of the motor just drowns everything out. So I'm going to use my canoe today, and I'm going to paddle in, and I'm just going to take the odd little bit of shots here and there just to give you guys an idea what I'm doing. It's going to be quite a long trip. It's going to take almost no time for you guys, but it's going to take probably more than an hour for me. So, yeah. First of all, we're going to get in my canoe and head off down to the mouth of that river, way down in there. We'll get back to you soon. Whew. Black fly season. They're pretty thick too. Everywhere. So for anybody who's interested, just to occupy myself a little while I'm paddling and doing this, my great-granddad is from Finland, and my great-grandmother is from Sweden. And they chose this area up in northern Ontario as the site for their cottage because it reminded them so much of home. Finland specifically, where my great-granddad grew up. Sort of the Laplander area. I can't remember the name of the village, but it's up there. So they chose this area for that. And there kind of still is, but not as much as there used to be. There was a lot of Finns on this lake. It's not as... The Finns aren't as prevalent as they used to be on this lake that I'm going to. But they really seem to like this area, specifically because it really did remind them of home. Alright, so we're in the first part of the river now. Nice and calm in here. Now, in a motorboat, you have to be really in the know as to where all the logs and rocks and everything are down here, because many, many, many people have hit one of the very, very abundant logs or rocks and destroyed their motor, their boat, sank. All kinds of crazy stuff. It's not even all that deep, so it's not hard to get everything out, salvage it out or whatever, but many a motor's been ruined in here. As you can see here, just off the front of my very, very battered up canoe that I still haven't actually fixed. Trees fall down all the time, and they make little, blockages, kind of whatever. They shift around, so you gotta sort of pay attention, even when you do know the way through just fine. Sometimes, year by year, they do shift around a little bit. There are many lakes all around. It's not just the lake that my cottage is on. There are a ton of lakes of varying sizes, little rivers, and it's really a matter of a short portage. In the wintertime, we do a lot of ice fishing up here. We use snow machines and just boot around on them to go from lake to lake. So, fish available, game fish available. Most common is trout and bass. All the lakes around here are commonly trout and bass. There is a hybrid trout species, part speckled and part lake trout, called splake. You do find that around here. There is a lake fairly nearby, I do believe, that has ling in it, which ling tastes an awful lot like sort of a combination of trout and cod. It's ugly. It is the ugliest fish I've ever seen, but it is delicious. Now, the most common fish that you're probably going to catch is rock bass. Unfortunately, can't really be helped. But in a survival situation, fish is fish. It's food. It really, when you're hungry, it really doesn't matter if it's bass or rock bass, to be honest. And although I've personally haven't tried it yet, a lot of people have told me that rock bass is absolutely delicious fish, and I should try it. And I've not really gotten around to doing that yet, but I think I probably will fairly soon. Oh, they're gone again. They're such a shy creature. I've been trying to get a shot of these guys for like 10 minutes. Just up ahead is an area that we refer to as Swimmer's Island. We go there because it's got a nice sandy beach, and we swim quite often. Whoop, sorry guys. Sun's getting pretty low in the sky, making it extremely hard to actually see anything, but I'm out on the lake now. Way over there is the Swimmer's Island, and between that point and that point, and over on the other side is my cottage. So I'm almost there, but we got about 45 minutes of sunlight left, so I better get cracking. Alright, it's now morning of the next day. I came from down over there, put my canoe up onto the dock here last night. This is my gas house slash where we put like fishing rods and anything to do with the boats. There is solar lights with motion detectors all wired up, and you have to sort of climb up a bit of a hill to get up there. Top of the hill, down there is the gas house. My view down there, well, that is the water pump house, and down there is the sauna. Show you that in a minute. The powerhouse slash tool shed. We've got wires and various pieces of building material and knickknacks and whatnot in that shed. This is the back house. Oh. Seen a chandelier in the back house before? Now, you know you live in a cold environment when there's a toilet seat cozy. So, yeah. And over there are our woodpile sheds. And that is our skidoo shed slash ATV shed. Side of the cottage here. Oh, actually, up there and here is our solar panels, and there's a few here and there. There's some up top of the powerhouse. We have battery banks in the powerhouse, and my dog. Hello, Baron. Can you say hi? It's pretty hot today. The poor little guy, he's so hot. But we have battery banks underneath that thing there, and we have some battery banks here, generator and tools. The side yard, we're putting up another building there. It's slow going, but things happen. Ooh, beautiful day on the lake. Absolute beautiful day on the lake. I'm gonna get out and go fishing soon. Okay, now inside the cottage we have a fireplace, and we have a door going into the back, And then my granddad's room, which for now is my room. When my brother is here, it's his room. And when we're both here, it's his room as well, and I sleep somewhere else because he's got a wife and kids, and I don't. Gravity-fed water, gas stove, and the gas fridge, and a wood stove as well. That pot we use to melt snow and whatnot while we're up here in the wintertime. And side room here. TV's on right now, so. And just in case any of you are wondering, yep, it is winterized. Show you the sauna. Like I say, the pump house, and behind that door is all the water valves and everything. We turn everything off for the winter time, obviously. We get about 10-12 feet of snow up here usually, so it gets pretty cold. Okay, the sauna was built. This is the first building that was built in the early 50s when my great-grandparents came here. My great-granddad built that fireplace, that pit there, and he welded up all of that stainless steel. Those rocks came out of the lake or along the shore. And they have pretty much been there. Those are the same rocks that he placed there. We haven't put any more rocks there that I'm aware of ever since. So, water gets filled up here. And again, we have a hose. And that's all gravity fed as well. When we turn on the water pump, the water pump fills up the pump above the cottage and above the sauna. So we fill this up with that, and that heats up all the water. And then we have our buckets of cold water, and we mix the water together and make our steam bath in here. This has changed very, very little over the years. A lot of this stuff was put here by my great-grandmother. And we do that when it's windy or when we're leaving, just so the door doesn't happen to start banging around and break, because it does get quite windy up here. Down the stairs, we have our nice big fire pit there that we normally will have our barbecues on. The kids' water trampoline, and the deck with our rows of Muskoka chairs. Geez, you know, we were supposed to get that boat out on the water this weekend and we never did. Huh. Probably do that before we leave. There's our railroad tracks for lugging heavy stuff up the hill. We've got an ATV, and we have sort of an elevator kind of riggins up there. Let's see if I can get a good shot of it. It's standing up. There's the wheels. So it's standing up. We drop that onto the tracks on a long rope. We back the ATV up, and it brings that all the way down to the bottom here. We load it up with the heaviest stuff, and then we pull the ATV forward, and that pulls everything up the hill for us. all these pine cones all over the deck. We gather those up and put them in boxes because that's the perfect thing to light the sauna fire with. And that's pretty much that. There's the dock that I came in on. Over here, we used to have an airplane dock, but we don't have an airplane anymore, so we don't need it. It's gone. Over to here, and then all the way up to the cottage. And it is a little bit of a climb to do 40 or so times a day when you're around here, but it definitely keeps you in good shape and decent health when you're here a lot. My granddad was as strong as a bull until he got a very, very, very fast-acting and very bad cancer and passed away. But even when he was in the beginning stages, he kept denying that he had cancer. He felt so good. So, back to my canoe. And over there is where I came into the lake. So that's that. That is my final bug out destination, is my cottage that was built by my great-grandparents in the 1950s, early to mid-50s. And as you can see, it's pretty much got everything everything you pretty much need. There are tons of fish in the lake, and the surrounding lakes, and the river, and whatnot. There's raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, and bunchberries. There's blueberries. There is sheep sorrel. There's wood sorrel. There's caribou moss. There is every single kind of evergreen tree you can imagine. There is maple trees and birch trees. You can harvest the sap out of those, boil it down. There is, there's bear, deer, moose. There's lots of marten, fisher, weasel. There are wolves. I've never seen a cougar here, but it wouldn't surprise me if they make a comeback here at all. We certainly have enough space here to plant and start growing a garden if we so chose. In the flower garden now, actually, we have a lot of chives. We have yarrow. We have plantain. We have... We have enough. We definitely have enough up here. And if I were to stop by my house in Gravenhurst and get maybe a shotgun, a 22, and maybe a 30-30 or a 308, I could do all the hunting as well. So it's really not a big deal. Not a big deal at all for food and longevity of being able to stay here. So... yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I absolutely love it here. I grew up here, and in a bug out situation, this is my final destination. This is where I'm coming to if that whole, SHTF situation happens. You guys have a good one. We'll see you in the next video.